flying by. It's the last game for the regular season. A lot of playoff implications are on the line. We're here at Athens High School, where the Nelsonville York Buckeyes are here to play the Bulldogs. It's a really exciting game. It's going to be a good one. Gridiron Glory starts right now.
Gridiron Glory, go Bulldogs!
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Joseph Hennessy, and tonight we saw the last regular season games of the year minus Eastern at Southern. We'll talk about that a little later. This show might be our craziest of the year because tonight's games had a ton of factors: L1 and L2 points, playoff spot percentages, who needed to win, who needed to lose, who is in, and who is out. It's going to be awesome, so stick around to see if your team made the cut and who our player and coach of the year candidates are. And first, we're starting with the FAC and a rivalry game that gets all of Fayette County to the stadium. The Washington Courthouse Blue Lions traveled to Miami Trace, and Will Collins, our FAC lead reporter, was there to see it all go down. Will, both teams were ready tonight. Courthouse was playing for playoffs tonight. How did the game look from Trace?
High school football games I've seen in recent memory. The scoring, the defense, it was insatiable. This was an incredible game to watch in our Week 10 FAC matchup. Let's take it right to the highlights. It was the Fayette County Championship tonight between the Washington Courthouse Blue Lions and the Miami Trace Panthers. To get the scoring started, Dalton Mayer goes deep to Joshua Gilmore. It'd be 7-0 after that first score. Jamie McCain now for the Washington Courthouse Blue Lions knocking the door himself, and he powers in for a 27-yard touchdown run, but the PAT was no good, and the Panthers would lead 7-6. Now, Dalton Mayer makes a nifty move of his own, turns on the Jets, and he is gone for the Panthers' second touchdown of the night. From 46 yards out, it's 14-6. Now later on, Jamie McCain muscling his way here through some Miami Trace defenders in for his second touchdown of the night. From 23 yards out, the two-point conversion would be no good. It'd be 14-12. Now Mayer would hit Gilmore again on this 20-12 touchdown pass. And once again, you see Dalton Mayer in for Joshua Gilmore. 3 scores on the night, 30-12. It looks like the Panthers are running away with it, but here come the Blue Lions. Ethan Rogers right, rolling around in the pocket, and he would go deep and find Eli Lynch for a 56-yard touchdown pass. The two-point conversion would be no good, 30-20. And the Courthouse would come back in this one. Colin Brown catches this touchdown pass from 78 yards out, and it would be 33-30 at that time, and Courthouse would win this game tonight 40-33 in convincing fashion.
Yeah, so Courthouse comes out on top.
Joe, this was a crazy game, and I'll tell you, it was one to watch.
But how did they get there? How did the game start out?
Well, let me tell you, this one started out all Miami Trace defense. The Panthers were coming at the Blue Lions from every single angle. It seemed like they were in the backfield every single play. They didn't give the Blue Lions room to run except for Jamie McCain, who somehow figured out how to hit a few holes. But it was all Miami Trace in the first half, and they went into the locker room, the leaders, but it would change.
In the second half, how did it happen in that second half, though?
Things started to turn around for the Blue Lions when they hit their second touchdown pass of the second half, and they started to claw their way back into the game. Momentum shifted, and the Blue Lions, with their scoring attack and air raid offense, they got through and they took it to the Panthers in the second half. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, the Panthers let the Blue Lions back in the game, and Washington Courthouse took advantage of it. They fought until the final whistle, and at the end of the night, I talked to Coach Chuck Williamson, and he said that he is so proud of his boys for staying in the game and staying in the fight.
Yeah, but who stood out for them tonight? I know you talked about Chuck Williamson, but were there any specific people that he mentioned?
Joe, our GGPOY candidates this year, Ethan Rogers Wright and Eli Lynch from Washington Courthouse, they made the impact for the Blue Lions tonight, but don't forget about Jamie McCain. He finished with 31 total touches on the night for almost 200 total yards on the ground. That's something that we should have kept an eye on earlier in the season as McCain turned it on late. But I'll tell you what, the Blue Lions, they came to play tonight, and they came out the victors tonight in an exciting fashion game that came down to the final 18 seconds.
Yeah, that rivalry game is pretty intense. I'm jealous you were there. I would have loved to have seen it live. Thanks, Will. Playoff time is here, and our show is only 30 minutes long. We can't give you all the information you need and want in just 30 minutes, so go to woub.org/gridiron for written recaps of the games and more on our GG Player and Coaches of the Year. Follow our Twitter, like us on Facebook, and add us on Snapchat for even more fun content and pictures and GIFs and stories that we will post right after the show. The Wellston Golden Rockets haven't made it past Week 10 since 2006. Last year they finished 3-7. This year it's a little different. TVC Ohio reporter Brian Kerp was at the Wellston-Vinton County game, and Brian, both teams wanted this badly. VC, they were playing spoiler tonight.
Yeah, Joe, Wellston has not beaten the Vikings since 2012, and Vinton County was trying to send out the seniors. On the day after Halloween, we're trying to exorcise some demons. It was a chilly one in MacArthur, but that's not stopping the mascot from having some fun. On the Vikings' first drive, though, Okie Fitzwater's punt gets swatted away by Garrett Warnock, and the Golden Rockets recover in Vinton County territory, but that drive would stall. Vikings get the ball back. Braylon Dameron looking downfield, and Zane Carr bobbles it and holds on to roll the chains. The Vikings would find the end zone to go up 6-0. Now, RJ Kemp had heat in his kitchen all night. Right here, he looks to pass, but Fitzwater is all over him in the backfield. VC with the ball now in a second. Dameron looking to get the Vikings downfield, but Ryan Mulhine says no sir and picks it off, but Wellston unable to move the ball. Late in the half, Vinton County facing a 4th down in the red zone, and Dameron threads the needle to Elijah Williams to set up the Vikings inside the 5. Then it's a senior, Logan Baker. He punches it in for 6 to make it 12-0 Vinton County. Wellston looking for some momentum heading into the half. Rylan Mulhine finally gets a big pickup for the Golden Rockets, but the Vinton County defense held strong. Kemp rolling to his right, looking for someone, still looking, and finally he throws it right into the Vinton County defense. Vinton County went up to the locker room up 12-0 and shut out Wellston tonight 20-0.
Yeah, huge win for the Vikings. That defense has been good all season long.
Yeah, Joe, this defense was absolutely suffocating. Wellston just couldn't put any consistency together on the offensive end. Luckily for Wellston, Rylan Mullihan was able to play in tonight's contest. Like the rest of the offense, Mullihan just couldn't get anything going. He didn't have many opportunities to bust out those big plays. All night, RJ Kemp was under pressure and didn't get enough time to make the passes he wanted to. Overall, I have to give a lot of credit to the Vinton County defense. I mean, they couldn't have played any better in their final game of 2019. They went up against a tough opponent and playoff team in Wellston and just put on a show. This is a huge positive step for VC heading into next season.
Yes, it is, Brian. Vinton County season is over. Wellston will be advancing to Week 11 for the first time since 2006. That's awesome for them.
That's right, Joe. The Golden Rockets are in with a 7-3 record. They will be hitting the road for their first round game. Even though they lost tonight, the Rockets can still be a threat in the playoffs. Hey, the best news is having Rylan Mullihan back on the field. Mullihan can completely change a game and carry this team. Also, let's not forget about RJ Kemp and his go-to receiver in Hunter Smith. This team has what it takes to compete. They just need to get their offense back next week. Joe, it'll be interesting to see which Wellston team will show up next week in the first round.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. I know they're pumped for it. Mike Smith leading the way. He'll have them fired up. Thanks, Brian. Now it is time to take a break from the highlights and talk a little more about the men with the headphones making the game plans. Here are some Gridiron Glory Coach of the Year candidates. For the MVL, it's Paul Culver III and Matt Edwards. Sheridan, who finished 8-2, beat John Glenn, who also finished 8-2 back in September. They both won a share of the MVL title this season. They've been awesome this year, leading them to the playoffs yet again. For the TVC Ohio, Mike Smith. Wellston finished 3-7 last year, like we just said. Smith came in the summer after leaving South Gallia and flipped the entire team's culture around. The boys bought in, and the record shows that. They finished 7-3 and are in the playoffs for the first time since 2006. In the Hawking, Phil Ferris. Ferris is the engine of this undefeated team. The Tomcats community and team rallies behind this man. He's a laid-back guy that expects nothing but dominance by his boys. He was the Coach of the Year last year, and he has a real shot at repeating with the improvements he made to a team that made the state championship game last year. He is for real. Ferris is for real. And finally in the FAC, Andy Hall. The Jackson Ironmen and the culture of that team is derived from Andy Hall's passion. Hall gets the Ironmen to play their best on Fridays, and that's why they are undefeated and FAC champs once again. Back to the games and into the Hawking. Belpre welcomed in Waterford, and these boys do not like each other. At Media Day, the boys said they really wanted to play each other. They wouldn't even look at the other team, and they were 2 tables away from each other. TVC Hawking lead reporter Sam Weethus was there, and Sam, it got physical tonight.
Joe, you could feel the tension in Ralph Holder Stadium tonight. Emotions ran high when the Waterford Wildcats paid the Belpre Golden Eagles a visit. The Golden Eagles are bringing the energy ready to celebrate senior night across the field. The Wildcats are getting amped up, hoping to secure a near-perfect record in the Hawking. Belpre's in possession of the ball first, but the ball pops up out of their control and Grant McCutcheon recovers it, but the Wildcats will fumble too and it goes back to Belpre. It's handed off to Sean Tabler. He finds a clear path along the outside to pick up 28 yards for the Golden Eagles. A couple plays later, Logan Adams avoids the pack, putting Belpre on the board first. It's 7-0. Now that's definitely something for them to celebrate. Even the flag guy is getting hyped up. Back to the action. Zane Heiss hoping to retaliate, but he has no one to turn to. He's sacked by Foster Brand. They'll be forced to turn over the ball later in that drive. But Heiss can shake it off. On Waterford's next possession, he's got a close call but stays on his feet. Despite the Belpre defenders at his heels, they can't take him down in time. Waterford's on the board. It's tied 7-7. The Golden Eagles are looking to take the lead again, so of course they turn to none other than Logan Adams. He's pushed out of bounds. On the next play, he'll go helmet first again, this time spinning into the end zone. It's 14-7 at the half, but Waterford steps it up in the second half and takes this one 26-16.
Yeah, I can see why tension was high in this game. We haven't really seen a Hawking game come down to the second half of the year.
Exactly. Both of these teams have been competitive with each other over the past couple years, and tonight had some major playoff implications for Waterford.
Exactly. The Wildcats had a lot on their mind tonight. What helped them seal the deal?
Defense was a huge factor in this game for both teams. They both held each other to a relatively low score compared to other games we've seen in this conference. Both teams took a lot of hard hits, and it was tough for them both to secure first downs.
Belpre is not moving on to the playoffs, but Waterford is. What did tonight's game mean for the Wildcats?
Well, since Waterford won tonight, they are projected to secure the 4th seed and will likely play their first playoff game at home.
It's always exciting to see teams we cover head to the playoffs, but our Week 10 isn't over. There's another important TVC Hawking game coming up.
Yeah, tomorrow night is the highly anticipated rivalry matchup between the Southern Tornadoes and the Eastern Eagles. Last year, the Eagles won by just 1 point, 27-26. At Media Day, players from both teams said that this game was what they've been looking forward to. I'm so excited to head out to Racine tomorrow night and see if the Tornadoes will get revenge or if Eastern will stay on top.
Yeah, that's definitely been one of the most talked about games all season long. You know, we've been expecting it. We're really hyped for that. We'll be covering that game on our Gridiron Glory social media tomorrow night. Thanks, Sam. And is that a Gridiron Glory Player of the Year candidate update graphic I see right there? It is. We will announce who is on our list at the end of our show tonight. So stay tuned to see who made it. We're getting close to announcing our final 5. This week's games are taken into account, and these guys have been balling out since day 1. So stay tuned to find out who's in. Over to the MVL we go. John Glenn played at Crooksville tonight, and their first MVL championship in nearly 40 years was on the line. Paul Roth, who is the MVL lead reporter, joins me here. And Paul, the Little Muskies are led by Coach of the Year candidate Matt Edwards. Those boys, they know how to ball.
Well, Joe, their mascot is a fish, but this team is a bunch of dogs. Coach Edwards and the boys put together a terrific season, but it all came down to this one. If they wanted to win a share of the MVL title, they'd have to survive on the road against the Ceramics. And there was an alien abduction out in Crooksville. Wait, no, she's giving a thumbs up. We're all good. We're all good. Now, John Glenn, they're pretty good too. Evan Williams finds Blade Barclay on the screen. He slices through the defense, goes up the sideline before getting knocked out of bounds, almost taking a cheerleader down with him. And just a few plays later, the give to Noah Wellmeyer, and that's going to put up John Glenn up 7-0 early. Now, Ceramics drive stalled, so it's back to the Little Muskies. Barclay takes a sweep out left. He's going to say, boom, get off me, boy. Then, excuse me, the shot here is a little rough, but the cameraman almost lost his legs. Now, a few plays later, Williams drops back and fires over the middle. Oh my gosh, Reese Perkins, you didn't have to do him like that, boy. Now, Crooksville looking for anything. Caden Miller tries to sneak it, and he's got nothing. So he bounces to the outside, cuts back in, and that's good enough for a first down. And then a few plays later, Miller rolling to his right, looking. At this point, he might just take it, but he fires it anyways, and Tyler Rambo is there to pull it down. Ceramics on the board, and they'd ride that momentum. John Glenn from the 2, and it's stuffed. A goal line stand for Crooksville, but they need one more, and they're not going to get it. Ethan Sprinkle decides he's going to sprinkle a little on top. 21-7, John Glenn. Then threatening just before the half. You think it's in for 6, but it's punched out by Sprinkle. However, John Glenn would end up winning it 42-14.
So that's it. John Glenn wins the MVL for the first time in nearly 40 years. They share the title with Sheridan, who beat Maysville 46-0 tonight, but still a huge accomplishment for them.
Yeah, huge. Talk about monumental.
Yeah.
It's been 39 years since John Glenn finished at the top of this conference. That was all the way back in 1980. The #1 song that year, Call Me by Blondie. And no, they weren't calling on a smartphone. The Shining and The Empire Strikes Back were released, and Pac-Man just came out.
Hey, Post-it notes were released for the first time that year, too.
There you go. Now, what I'm saying, it's been a really long time, and this John Glenn football team, they deserve every bit of credit. They've hovered around the top of the conference for the past couple years, but are finally over the hump, and they'll be rewarded. The Little Muskies have a 98% chance of getting a 4-seed in Division 4 Region 15, according to Drew Pasteur, and that means they will get a home playoff game, with their most likely opponent being St. Clairsville.
Yeah, that's big for the Little Muskies, but let's talk a little about Crooksville. Not the season they were hoping for their 100th year. They finished at 3-7 and will miss the playoffs yet again, but they saw improvements throughout the season.
Yeah, tough season across the board for the Ceramics, but they're losing a lot of seniors too. Caden Miller, Brady Brandon, Tyler Rambo, Colt White, Tyler Carr, Andrew Peterson, Darian Daughtry, Tyler Thomas, Thane Childress, Tanner Hayes, and PJ Maralt. There's so many, and it may not have ended how they wanted, but each one of these guys is a gamer, and they gave it all out on the field every night. Now, a lot of those guys are starters too, so it'll be interesting to see how they rebound going into the next season.
Yeah, they're already looking forward to next season. Not exactly what we wanted, exactly what you said. Thanks for the great work, Paul. We've been asking, and you've been responding to send us some of you and your favorite player for our social media team to edit. We got some pictures, and we'll turn those into something sick like these later on, so be on the lookout for those. So send us yours so we can post them for the whole wide world to see. Thanks to everyone that has sent yours in. We are working on them right now, actually. They're going to be awesome. We traveled out about 15 minutes up Route 33 to Athens High School. We put out a poll on our Twitter for our game of the week, and I went out to find our fan of the week. But I couldn't pick just a Bulldog. I found a Buckeye that was yelling the whole game as well.
I am Joe from 10 years ago before he hit his growth spurt.
Obviously, we were here last time to find the biggest fan. Do you guys still think that you guys are the biggest fans?
Please welcome the...
Let's see, I gotta go up here in the front. Hello, I have a question. Yeah. Joseph Hennessy from Gridiron Glory. What do you think? What do you expect from tonight's game, though?
Oof. I'm just hoping our boys have a night, come out strong, and stay with it all year. Don't die. Yeah. Don't die tonight. That's all we need to do.
59's the mic. 59's the mic.
All game, I'll be loud, I promise.
Yeah?
Winning or losing, I'm always up for the boys.
Let's go, boys! Solid Buckeye!
For the fan of the week. There's one. There we go. So, you know what that means, right? I opened up the bag.
Get that ball back!
Alrighty. As you can tell, he's pretty energetic. Ethan, we got to give you fan of the week. Here you go.
Oh, thank you, sir.
There you go.
Very
You guys
much.
sure we got you a bag? There you go.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
There
Thank
you
you.
go.
And now it's time to see the action on the field. Here is our game of the week.
You know, obviously the big goal is TVC every year, obviously. You know, at Athens, you know, that should be our standard.
The game for the TVC Ohio Championship was on the line here tonight, and the fight was between two familiar faces. TVC Ohio lead reporter Jacob Murray joins us from Athens High School to break down this final game of the season in the TVC Ohio.
Yeah, you know, Joseph, it's like we've seen this movie here before. The Athens Bulldogs and the Nelsonville York Buckeyes have been fighting for the TVC Ohio crown the last couple of seasons, and that was the same story here tonight. It was a heated rivalry, but on a chilly night, it heated up this game right here. Now, we did have senior night, and the trophy was the one thing both of these teams wanted to fight for. They were ready in this one to go, and right out of the gate, the Athens Bulldogs got off going with Joey Moore running it into the end zone for this 10-yard touchdown, putting them up 7-0 early on. Now, Nelsonville York would strike right back, and Mikey Seal finds a gap. He would go all the way for the 42-yard touchdown, tying it up at 7-all. Now we have just a regular kickoff right here, and it's a bit of it's an onside kick. It knocks off of the Athens player's legs. The Buckeyes fall on it right there. They start with great field position. Kudos to Rusty Richards there, and give it to that man, Keegan Wilburn. He runs it in from about 5 yards out for 14-7. Now, end of the half, Keegan is going to find his man. He's going to find Austin Thrapp for the 53-yard touchdown. 3 seconds left into the half. They go into it up 21-7. Now into the second, Mikey Seal will take a QB sneak here and fight his way into the end zone to put them up 35-21. And the Bulldogs would keep on fighting all night long, but the Nelsonville York Buckeyes just found a way to win in the end of this one, winning this one 35-28 and capturing a share of the TVC Ohio crown.
Yeah, the Buckeyes come in and pull off the upset to get a share. How were they able to get the win tonight?
Look, they had that defense rolling right out of the gate. They were able to contain Joey Moore all night long, and it really showed as we got later on in this game. Now, you know what? It was really interesting to see this defense flying. They were containing Joey Moore all night, and that's the central focus you want on this team. That's really something that they had going for them. And on the offensive side, Mikey Seal also had it going, throwing the ball all over the place and getting 2 rushing touchdowns in there as well.
What happened to the Bulldogs tonight? They did put up a fight, though.
Yeah, they did, but you know what? Their emotions were very high in this one. At the end of it, there was a little bit of a scuffle, and you know what? That's just what happens on senior night like this. They want to go out there and win it, and they really couldn't find a way to do that. Frustrations were running. There were mistakes all over the field, and they just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, it's the end of an era in Nelsonville York, and they might have just ended it with a win for one of the best players in team history.
Look, Keegan Wilburn is a Division I athlete, and he showed it here tonight. Let me roll off some of the stats here for you. 163 total yards and 2 touchdowns. He had a heck of a night here tonight. He was running all over the field. Even on the defensive side of the ball, he was doing things right away for him. And you know what? He'll be at Ohio University next year. It'll be very fun to see him on that team, but they get to share the title, and he was hyped about it.
Yeah, such a fun year for them, and it seems about right for it to end the way it did. Thanks, Jacob. We saw a bunch of highlights tonight, but what was the best? We had to choose between so many tonight. I mean, we saw juke moves that left ankles on the field. I don't know how some guys are walking to the sideline. They forgot to pick them up. We saw some crowd silencing hits and some snags that needed to be repeated for us to just make sure that we saw it right. Alrighty, here we go. These are the top plays of the night from Week 10. At number 4, it's John Glenn's Blade Barclay with the sweep to the left. He avoids the tackler with the Adrian Peterson stiff arm. Get off me, he said. And the action got so close to our cameraman, he had to move out of the way. Strong move. Then for number 3, Zane Heiss for Waterford. Takes the snap, scrambles for the gain. He shrugs off the face mask grab like it's nothing. He shoves off another dude. Then he turns on the burners to outrun 3 Belpre defenders to score the touchdown. Oh boy, that was nasty. And at number 2, Braden Dameron to Zane Carr in the soft spot of the zone along the sidelines. Dameron throws it up. Carr comes down with it with a juggling act. Make sure you get 2 hands on it, and he does just that easily, even in midair. And at number 1, it's John Glenn again, and it's GGPOY candidate Reese Perkins catches. Reggie Bush, stop on a dime. The DB goes flying off the screen. He's trying to get him with the hit sticks, and he walks into the end zone for the tutty. That is our top play of the night. The regular season is done. The postseason is here, and now we find out who is in and who is out. We're going to break it down in the divisions and regions for teams in our coverage so we can see who we'll be watching next week. According to Drew Pastor, the Jackson Ironmen beat Chillicothe, finalizing their undefeated season and securing a home game. They are projected as the number 3 seed in Division III Region 11. They are expected to play Zanesville. Also in D3 Region 11, the Sheridan Generals, with their win tonight over Morgan, they are in and are projected to be a 7 seed. They are expected to play the 10-0 Jonathan Alder Pioneers. Over to Division For Region 15, the John Glenn Little Muskies won the MVL and secured a home playoff game in the first round. They are projected as a 4 seed and are expected to play 8-2 St. Clairsville. The Philo Electrics had a chance to squeeze in as the 8 seed, but after their loss tonight to New Lexington 26-8, they are out. In Region 16, the Washington Courthouse Blue Lions are out even after their win over rival Miami Trace tonight. In Division 5, Region 19, Wellston, we talked about them all night, 7-3 after their 3-7 year last year. They are 100% in for the first time since 2006. It's going to be a rough road ahead, though. They play a tough Ironton team in the first round. And again, Nelsonville York, they got the win. They got a share of the Ohio, but they are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. In Trimble, in Division 6, Region 21, 10-0, 100% in with a home game. They are currently the 4th seed. That Fed Hawk week kind of mixed things up for them, but it doesn't matter. A home game, they'll take it. Division 7, Region 27, Waterford, they're 8-2. They have a 70% chance at the 4th seed. They have a 93% chance of playing against a tough opponent. Eastern 7-2. They play Southern tomorrow. That's going to be a huge game. Eastern could make the playoffs for the first time since 2001. I don't think half of our reporters were even born then. I don't even think half of their players were born then. So that's a huge matchup for them. 100% in with the win. Playoff teams are usually filled with great players that are great at working together. They grind it in the summer and preseason to see the bigger picture. Some playoff teams rely on one guy to get things going, and some know how to utilize their skills and ways to help the team succeed. We are talking about our Gridiron Glory Player of the Year candidates. First, we have Connor Wright, senior running back and linebacker for the Trimble Tomcats. No other way to put it, really. Wright is dominant in the hocking, and any opponent they face fears him. He only plays a half of football every week because Trimble is up by so much, and he has 1,733 yards with 31 touchdowns on just 137 carries. Eli Lynch for Washington Courthouse, the 6'2 wide receiver, has the height and strength to get the jump balls and the quickness to turn into a slant or a sweep into a big gain. He currently has 709 receiving yards with 9 touchdowns. Jaden Spires, the outside linebacker and running back for the undefeated Jackson Ironmen. Jackson has been bullying FAC teams all season, and he's a reason why. Joey Moore, the junior quarterback for the Athens Bulldogs. He is second in all of Division III according to Max Preps in total passing yards with 2,214 yards, 22 passing touchdowns to 9 interceptions. We will update those stats tonight after our show. He's the #1 rushing quarterback in all of Division III as well with 657 yards with 9 touchdowns. And another wide receiver, but he's from the MVL. It's Reese Perkins. He is a game changer. He leads the MVL in receiving touchdowns and led the Little Muskies to their first MVL championship in nearly 40 years. He's been great for that John Glenn team, and he is one of the best in our coverage. Then it's Rylan Mullahan from the Wellston Golden Rockets. He is a leader for the Golden Rockets on both offense and defense. He's an aggressive downhill runner and a ball hawk on D. 142 carries, 1,155 total yards, 13 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving, and 5 interceptions while playing DB. And then it's the big man in the middle for Trimble, Sawyer Coons. He's tough. He bullies opponents, but he's got the soft hands to take the ball to the house. He's been all over the field, and he is the reason why they are such a dominant defense. I mean, they held Wahama to just 2 yards tonight. Alrighty, we talked about playoff teams, coaches of the year, and players that have stood out among the best of the rest. If you missed any of it, go to online to woub.org/gridiron to read our articles we will post after our show, and follow all of our social media for final score updates around Southeastern Ohio. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory. It's playoff time.
Report comes from the law firm of Bricker and Eckler, providing legal services in the Southeast Ohio region for energy, education, government, and business counsel. More information at bricker.com/southeast. Support comes from Ohio Health, where health is an ongoing journey, and wellness and sickness are part of a lifelong partnership. Ohio Health believes in the patient's power to be healthy. Discover your best health at Ohio Health.